I don't mean to be flippant. No, it is not. The United States is a country that has been richly blessed because of two things: our commitment and our belief that if given the freedom, individuals have extraordinary power to transform their own lives, but their communities and their countries if they have the freedom to invest in themselves through their education, if they have the resources to invest in their families by good employment, and they have the creativity to come up with the jobs, the products, the services that any of us would like. And having that creative spirit, that commitment to allowing the market to determine an individual's worth and productivity, we think has helped make us the most dynamic economy in the world. Secondly, our underlying principles and commitment to freedom and democracy and human rights, we think makes us an even more attractive environment for investment and partnership, but it has also given us the extraordinary ability, combined with our economic strength, our commitment to ideals and freedom, to be a leader within the world. And the United States has been uniquely privileged and challenged to not only lead in economic strength, but also in helping to keep our people secure, but also working with the case of strategic partners like Egypt. We have the opportunity in some cases to help bring peace through the world, and the two cannot be seen in conflict with one another. If we have learned anything from this protracted conflict in some regions of the world, whether it's in the Middle East or other parts of the world, is that it is hard for business, for people to flourish when countries are continually at war at one another. And part of our overall economic security has to be an effort to make sure that people are safe in their environment. So our investing in our security and our economy have to go hand in hand, and they are not at all contradictory to one another.
There is a common goal between the U.S. and Egypt in order to double the Egyptian and U.S. exports. I'd like to inquire how would the USA serve the purpose of trying to double the Egyptian exports, and is there a response concerning the Egyptian request to add new zones to quiz, as well as the Egyptian request trying to add new commodities and goods when it comes to the GSP? And what would the USA require from Egypt in order to serve their own goal and increase the US exports?
If I may say briefly, what I referred to in our remarks is Minister Rashid and I have agreed that our teams will begin to work immediately to resolve the issues regarding a more active expansion of exports from the QIZs. We believe that serves the United States' interests for the reasons that those QIZs were initially put into place, and that it helps our strategic initiative by helping provide stability when people have access to gainful employment. We will come up with an approach, an acceptable resolution to whether there should be more activity within them as well as a product mix. But part of that has to be working in concert with the minister to find out what meets Egypt's objectives. And I know the minister feels, he can speak for himself, but I think he wisely believes that diversifying the exports through the industrial zones is one smart way to achieve that objective.
Well,
I fully agree with Mr. Ron Kirk concerning quiz. There is a strategic goal between the US and Egypt in order to make these zones a success, and what had taken place during the past period concerning increasing the Egyptian exports through the system had proved that this is an effective system concerning the developing the Egyptian economy, and it is becoming an integral part and a cornerstone in the Egyptian American economic relations. We have agreed to expand activities in these zones, and there would be working groups or task force on both parties in order to enable the corporations to enter new sectors like we have textile and apparel, which is a successful sector, but we try to introduce other sectors to be integrated in quiz. So there would be a working group that would function in this respect with the involvement of the business sector through the US-Egyptian Business Council in order to promote other industries like environment, IT, machinery, leather. All these industries are part and parcel of the common goal. We have agreed as well that all the mechanisms that pertain to expansion of the zones would be agreed upon during the forthcoming period in order to ensure a flow of work within the new zones that have been approved in Upper Egypt, like Bani Suef and Minya, in order to serve the goal of the existence of this industrial zones within the quiz in order to increase investment. Thank you.
Sir, you said you would like to increase the exports to Egypt, and wheat and corn, especially wheat, is a big area that US used to export a lot to Egypt, but recently, because of price, freight, and different issues, US has been losing a great deal of market share in Egyptian imports, and Egypt is the world's biggest wheat buyer. We're just wondering what you think about this and how you see the outlook on that particular one, and whether there are any bilateral long-term or agreements, like mutual agreements on this issue. Thank you.
Well, you're correct. Our agricultural exports make up a very important part of the overall U.S. $5 billion exports to Egypt. Agriculture is about $500 million of that. Egypt is a very important and attractive agricultural market. We would love nothing more than to resume the levels that we had before. And we very much welcome the openness of Minister Rashid and his team to working with us to see what we can't do to address whether it's our competitiveness or whether there are other issues that might stand in the way of doing that. Now, we do understand that with our not having, frankly, a free trade agreement, and Egypt wisely moving for free trade agreement with other countries, to some degree this is of our own doing, but I will tell you this, that President Obama and I firmly believe that if we have a level playing field, that if our exporters can compete equally with others, that we'll do just fine.